Our TPI or TBI two-stroke seem to be running a little on the rich side. We find that's fairly normal for bikes that have the stock tune that tend to be rich down low, lean up top. But if you've done a TSP tune that fixes that and it still seems to be running rich, there's a couple reasons it could be. The most common is a worn top end and or a bad crankcase pressure sensor. If you're at 80 or 100 hours, put a top end in it. Whenever we do top ends, we always do new crankcase pressure sensors. If that still doesn't solve the issue, when you still seems like it's a little burbly off idle and or you're getting spooge out the muffler, try checking your tranny fluid. We're seeing a big trend on these bikes where they're losing crank seals on the clutch side and tranny fluids going through the motor and causing issues. Every one of the bikes in this shop have all had to have the crank seal replaced. And so there's three components to the crank seal. There's the seal, there's the distance sleeve, and there's this little O-ring. All three of these pieces have to be replaced. Now it's our thoughts that it's the O-ring that is the biggest culprit causing the oil to leak past this O-ring and through your motor. What we do is we sell a kit that has a slightly oversized O-ring, and once we've installed those, it's been a game changer. We haven't had any more issues. Our kit comes with a new crank seal and also a new distance sleeve. You always want to replace this distance sleeve because if you look on here, that seal rubs on this distance sleeve and it rubs a groove in it, and eventually that groove is going to get deep enough where it can no longer seal. Kind of like the collar on your rear axle, they get grooved out from the seals. Well, this happens too. So a good way to check to see, are you burning tranny fluid through your motor? We should be putting 800 milliliters in the transmission when we do a transmission change. So put 800 in it, drain it, put 800 back in it. Go out and ride the bike for 4, 5, 6 hours, come back, drain the tranny fluid, measure it. You should be getting at least 780 or so milliliters back out. So a 10 to 20 millimeter difference is okay. If you get much less than that, you're losing tranny fluid. Do a quick inspection, make sure you're not leaking externally. Most likely it's leaking through the motor, and most likely these three pieces will fix it. So we do sell a kit that has an OEM seal, an OEM distance sleeve, and a slightly oversized O-ring. We really think that this is the culprit, and this oversized O-ring seems to cure it. Here's a page right out of the service manual for a 2024 300 XCW, and it says in changing the gear oil, you want to put 0.8 liters. 0.8 liters is 800 milliliters, which is the same as 800 cc's. So take your pick, but don't use the sight hole. Just measure out 800 milliliters, put it in, run it for 5 or 6 hours, drain it, measure it, and you'll know whether you're losing tranny fluid through your motor. Okay, now we need to take this primary gear off. And so we need a special jam tool from Motion Pro that's gonna go in here. And this bolt is a left-handed thread, which means we're gonna rotate it clockwise to take it off. And so this is 110 foot-pounds. So you're either gonna use a big 24 millimeter breaker bar or use a nice big 1/2 inch impact, but make sure that this is locked in there so you don't rotate it. And that way, again, left-handed, you're gonna go clockwise to take that nut off. Okay, now that I have this primary gear off, what we gotta do is we gotta take this distance sleeve out, this seal, and then there's an O-ring behind it. So getting some needle nose pliers in on that distance sleeve and kind of working that out. It's a little tight. And then having a good seal puller, being careful not to score the race, but getting that in here and pulling the seal out. All right, now that we've got everything removed, the clutch, the primary gear, everything's removed, the seal's removed, the distance sleeve's removed, and the O-ring's removed. Now, this is the kit that we can buy from South Bay Moto. This is an OEM seal, an OEM distance sleeve, And this is our oversized O-ring that's going to prevent it from leaking again. So the O-ring is going to go on first. The distance sleeve is unidirectional. If you look at it, one side has a taper on it. The taper goes down towards the motor. So I'm going to do the O-ring, I'm going to press the seal, then I'm going to find the taper on the distance sleeve, and that's going to go into the seal and squish the O-ring. Okay, now that the seal and distance sleeve and oversized O-ring are in, we're going to install the primary gear. Very important on the primary gear is there is a dot marked right there, and that has to line up with the dot on the counterbalance gear. And then there's obviously a keyway. So I'm going to line these up on the keyway, and we're going to work that into place so that those two dots line up. And then this is a left-handed nut. So what that means is when I go to screw it on, it's going to turn counterclockwise to tighten. I'm going to use a little bit of blue Loctite, and I'm going to tighten it to the torque spec called out in the service manual. All right, now that the primary gear is on and it's torqued to 100 foot-pounds, we're ready to put the clutch in and then just put the rest of the side of the motor back on, which I'm not going to cover in this install. That's all fairly straightforward. But I did want to show, this is something that goes out quite a bit in KTMs. There's 6 rubber dampers in here, and so if I go inside here, see that play? That's too much play. So we're going to remove this inner hub. We're going to replace all 6 of those rubber dampers. The KTM ones are pretty flimsy, and sometimes they come out in 2 pieces. We like to replace them with the Recluse ones. They're a little bit more heavy duty and they last longer. So I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this inner hub. I'm going to put the clutch on. I'm going to put everything back together. We're going to put oil in it, and then we're going to put 800 milliliters of oil in it. We're going to run it for 4 to 5 to 6 hours. We're going to drain the oil, see how much comes out. I'm hoping to get 780 or 790 out. That means we fixed the problem.